Watch this.
Idaho has prided itself on its independence streak. Well, there's one area where the gem state stands alone, and it has to do with the way we are improving our maternal mortality. Or not. Cameras at intersections, not uncommon. But what if we told you there are some new cameras in Meridian that are tracking more than just the increasing traffic? Sure, there are neighbors to the west, so we share things with each other. Oregonians come to Idaho for the fry sauce. Idahoans go to Oregon for the, well, now we share a state vegetable, and not everyone is happy about it. Or happy about everyone not being happy about it. We'll explain.
We are the only state in America that does not have a Maternal Mortality Review Committee. We are the only state that has a total abortion ban that does not provide 12 months of postpartum coverage for new mothers. There's an extremity when you just look issue after issue. Even in the reddest states, our policies are demonstrably the worst.
That was Representative Ilana Rubel back in the middle of June after she and several other Democratic lawmakers took a trip to D.C. to compare notes on abortion laws with others like them from Republican-run states. You heard her say Idaho's policies are demonstrably the worst. But did you also hear what she said one of the reasons why that is? What she said at the beginning of that soundbite? We are the only state in America that does not have a Maternal Mortality Review Committee. We used to, for about 3 years. Idaho's Maternal Mortality Review Committee was established in 2019 by the state legislature, a 12-person committee made up of the medical community members with the objective of identifying, reviewing, and analyzing maternal deaths in Idaho, deaths which are related to pregnancy. That bill had a sunset clause of July 1st, 2023. And when Republican Representative Dory Healy, a fourth-generation Idahoan, a third-generation registered nurse with 2 master's degrees, when she tried last session to extend the work of the committee, the cost of which was covered entirely by grants, well, her bill was held in the Health and Welfare Committee. Never got a hearing. So yes, Idaho now is the only state without a formal MMRC or a legal requirement to review pregnancy-related deaths. And we asked about this. Republican Representative and House Majority Leader Megan Blanksma said State House leadership is working to bring back a similar program with clear outcomes and expectations because, as she told Andrew Bartline last month, they've been operating for 3 years, but there hasn't been any actual work product on how to improve the situation, and it's great to have the data, right? But if you're not producing the work product to make the situation better, I don't see that as a productive use of time, she said. Productive, I should say, is based on your perspective. The estimated yearly cost of the committee was supposed to be about $27,000 back in 2019, all of which, as I said, could be covered by grants. But the actual cost, less than half of that, because most of the 12 people on the committee do it for free, or at least did it for free. One of which we spoke with today about what it means for Idaho to be the only state without a centralized review process to improve maternal mortality. Here's Andrew Bartline.
The start of a new fiscal year creates new beginnings. But Dr. Stacy Seib knows it can also be an endpoint.
As of July 1, the Maternal Mortality Review Committee is disbanded.
Dr. Seib sat on the committee for all 4 years, working to evaluate pregnancy-related deaths, complications, and find answers.
It's not necessarily to find someone to blame, but how do we improve our systems and make sure that we have the resources so that women are not in danger.
Because the numbers show some pregnant women in Idaho are. From 2018 to 2020, the committee reports show all 21 pregnancy-related deaths were preventable. And the latest report detailed numbers from 2021. It showed 15 of 17 deaths could have been prevented too.
We won't have the ability to look at cases from sort of a multidisciplinary way anymore, and what you end up with some raw numbers.
We heard a GOP lawmaker tell us this sort of committee just collected data. There wasn't a work product to find solutions here.
First thing I would say, it was only in existence for 4 years, okay? We were establishing a baseline to try and figure out where we were at and where we were going. It's not the type of work that is reactive, okay? It's trying to put together the trends, find out what are the biggest problems, investigating to see what needs to be done.
And they did. Each report filed key recommendations. They directly addressed the very issues the committee observed in that annual review. A review that some say is necessary.
Yes, that is true.
Including Susie Keller.
I can tell you Idaho physicians very much feel that the work of the MMRC does produce real results and real recommendations that could save lives.
She's the Idaho Medical Association's CEO. They wrote the original bill to create this committee back in 2019.
Why was there a sunset in this? Was that needed to compromise?
Yes, and I think that's a fair compromise. Anytime you're suggesting a new government entity in the state of Idaho, I think it's only fair that it prove its worth. In this case, we absolutely think it has proven its worth in showing that we do have a problem with increasing maternal deaths in the state of Idaho, and the committee has also provided some solid recommendations for us to implement to improve that and making sure we don't have women needlessly dying.
Well, then what happens? What are we missing out on Idahoans? What are the problems going to be?
I think what I'm most worried about is the fact that we won't have the information that we need, not only to improve care, but let's go to where the problem is. You know, simple statistics aren't necessarily as useful without digging deeper. And that's why a few years of looking at it is not like, oh, we got it fixed, you know, we're done. We got to continue to look at it and monitor it.
And that's not to say that Idaho won't track any of these numbers down. We won't have any data. The Department of Health and Welfare says they do gather data, but they say it's not the same as a comprehensive, multidisciplinary, in-depth review on a case-by-case basis. And some of those recommendations, Brian, can be for rural areas, right? If you have an ectopic pregnancy in Kootenai County, well, that's a little different between being in downtown Boise in terms of what services might be available to you. Mental health services is a part of it too. And you know, regionally in different areas, they say case-by-case review is necessary, it is effective, and they're upset to see that it's not in place right now.
Reading the bill from 2019, it said in that bill, because Idaho's maternal mortality rate is so bad, it's in like the lower half, that's why we need this mortality rate or review committee. That hasn't changed. Idaho's maternal mortality rate is still in the bottom half across the country. I think it's like 32 per 100,000 as an average across the country. We're like in the 40s.
Yeah, there's a spike up from 2019 to 2020, and it stayed the same from 2020 to 2021. And that 21 data is the most recent that we've had,
right,
or that's been at least reviewed through this committee. So what's happened the last year and a half, we don't know at this point.
Right, so we're just giving you that perspective of the average across the country is about 32. We're in the 40s, lower 40s when it comes to that, so about 10 more. So it's a significant difference when it comes to averages and how much it affects the state of Idaho. Thanks, Andrew, appreciate it. Well, over the years of the COVID pandemic, the references to George Orwell's 1984 novel seem to have spiked. You know, government authorities telling us what we can and can't do, where we can and can't go to stop the spread of a deadly virus. But there's a real big brother situation taking shape in Idaho's second largest city. It's no secret. Well, not much is secret these days. Cameras are everywhere, on our cars, on our doorbells, and in fact, in our pockets. You've seen them at our major intersections, these cameras, all across the Treasure Valley. Traffic cams, we call them. But what if there are cameras at these intersections being used for something else? Joe Paris found out how they are being used in Meridian and how they're balancing liberty and safety.
Every day, thousands of cars, thousands of trucks roll down Idaho roads. Most are totally unremarkable in the sense that they drive on their way and you probably never think about them after they leave your vision. But sometimes, law enforcement, the news media, social media, they ask you to keep an eye out while you're in traffic.
This is the intersection of Fairview and Eagle. It's actually the busiest intersection in the state of Idaho with thousands of cars coming through it on a daily basis. And if you're law enforcement looking for a car or a license plate number, it's like finding a needle in the haystack.
So in Meridian, there's a new tool that police have for those very cases.
So far, they've been very successful for us.
That's Meridian Police Chief Tracy Bastrachea. He says there are now new cameras up around Meridian that can scan for license plates or types of cars.
With technology, people always get uncomfortable.
Sure,
when it's a
absolutely.
new thing. What are these things capable of? What are they not capable of?
Well, really, we have to physically go and put in what we're looking for, right? Whether it's a license plate or the type of vehicle that we're trying to locate. We have to put that in. The system only holds that for 60 days, and then those license plates or those vehicles are deleted out of the system. Or if we locate it, then we can go in and we physically delete that out of the system as well.
Searches through the camera system are very specific. Meridian Police isn't out scanning and logging all plates at all times.
These don't necessarily run every plate. They look for the specific plate that we put in there or the specific type of vehicle. So if we said red Dodge pickup between this hour and this hour may have been in there, then it'll pick that up for us and send us an alert and say, hey, there was a red Dodge pickup that drove through this intersection during this time frame.
Idaho has an influx of newcomers from places like Colorado or California, where they have similar cameras that scan for speeding or red light violations. There, a person can get a ticket if a camera catches their plate while in violation. For now, that isn't the Idaho way.
These are not red light cameras, they're not speeding cameras. We're not sending you a citation in the mail. That's not what they do, and that's not what we want them to do. What we want to do is save those for those important serious crimes. You know, I mean, you look at the case at University of Idaho, I'm sure that case would have moved along much quicker had they been able to have that license plate information or that vehicle information much earlier in the investigation, which certainly would have bring closure to the family much sooner.
Bastrachea has served Meridian since 1996 in various roles at the police department. He knows from his experience that individual liberties is something that is very important to the community there and across Idaho. The system and its use reflects that, he says.
We're not going and mining your information from your home, anything like that. Everything's coming from a public setting, from driving on our public roadways. We understand there is that delicate balance between liberties and between public safety, and we want to make sure that our officers understand that, and they understand, you know, we talk about all the time, our job is really to protect people's constitutional rights. That's the whole idea behind American policing, and so we want to try to do that as well as we can.
So you probably have a few questions after watching that story. I'll tell you this, Meridian Police, they closely watch the system, which includes audits of who is accessing the system, what they are tracking, what information is there. And ideally, Meridian Police says that these cameras are for emergencies like Amber Alerts. And again, nothing is stored for more than 60 days. Brian, they also know that this is delicate. This is a very tricky thing to deal with. And of course, Idaho is a very liberty-minded state. You talked about Orwellian fears that have been heard all the way through COVID. I'll say this as well, though, there are other agencies around the state of Idaho that are using this, and Chief Bastrachea said that they really connected with the team in Post Falls, Idaho, where they've had great success for about 15 years on the program.
Okay, so the idea of that, looking for traffic violations, those kind of things, these are for the big picture items.
Yeah, they're not trying to get you running a red light on Eagle Road. They're looking for important license plates or stuff like that.
All right, thank you very much, Joe. Since the Beaver State has joined the Potato State bandwagon, our state leader has shared some social media words about it, and an odd photo of him and some friends. And his followers have shared their disappointment. You have any thoughts to share about Spuddy Buddy, or pretty much anything else? Text us, the number on your screen, 208-321-5614. Don't forget your name and the hashtag #the208. And if they're clean, concise, and clever, well, we might share yours with the rest of the class at the end of the show. Well, for some of us, with the 4th of July hitting on a Tuesday, a lot of you may have made it a long weekend. Time to disengage from everyday life, to check out and avoid checking in on things like the internet. Well, not everyone, as evidenced by what happened when our governor tried to share something lighthearted, albeit a bit cheesy, on social media. Last month, Oregon added the potato as its state vegetable, and Governor Brad Little has been making a beef of it since. A seemingly palatable post from our presiding officer. Over the weekend, I recruited some buddies to help me defend Idaho's title as the #1 spud state against Oregon. And it spurred some soft-serve social media responses. Some, like, so great to see our governor spending some time with our new recruits back home, which is what you'd expect from the big guy. But then things went sideways and sour. N. Barnes, wow, what a hero. Glad you're getting the important stuff done, Tyrone Wallingham. And Marianne from Brooklyn, because your IQ equals a spud, leave women alone. Okay. Then from Alexis, your state is suffering, and this is what you want to divert attention to? You're responsible for literal human beings. You and your team are in the wrong industry. And add this friendly fire from the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. Both sides think your stupid fight with Oregon is a waste of time. Still no comment on what the Idaho Supreme Court did to the Second Amendment in Idaho? No, you'd rather post a picture with a bunch of stuffed potatoes. Or, so out of touch, it's just sad. As our nation and state are in a fight for the very essence of what it is to be an American, you're talking about spuds. Wow. Just wow. Wow, indeed.
Lighten up, Francis.
But what are you doing about the secret meeting with Gavin Newsom and the Boise Dems trying to turn Idaho into California? You best be on top of this. Well, the visit from California's governor wasn't exactly a secret. Neither were those trolling Twitter hiding their opinion of Idaho's governor. So you can debate about spuds, but when it comes to debating real issues in a primary election or general election, you're a no-show. Coward. It went from name-calling from Friar Ann, you used to be a decent governor, now you're just a tool, to a race for ground-level gov status, lamest governor since big dumb Don Samuelson, to getting there in 3 tweets. Worst governor Idaho has ever had.
Lighten up, Francis.
Okay, Guy Carver. Meanwhile, the nameless blogger from up north, you need a better social media team and a new couch. Okay, so maybe Brad Little's brown paisley isn't for everyone. And are we just going to let the wood-paneled walls go unchecked on that one too? Okay, so maybe the interior decorating choices aren't for everyone, but neither apparently is allowing people to just be silly on social media. Maybe a silly social media post the day before Independence Day, the birth of our nation, a post on Idaho Day, by the way, when we celebrate Idaho becoming part of that nation, a post about a manufactured beef over a vegetable with a neighboring state. Maybe it's okay to just let it be what it is. A picture of Idaho's governor under a pile of stuffed potatoes. So as I said, it's okay to lighten up, Francis.
Oh, just gorgeous. I hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July holiday yesterday. And now that that's in our rearview mirror, I thought, hey, let's look ahead at how much summer we have left and the holidays that are coming our way in the next little bit. We still have plenty of summer, by the way. Labor Day, the unofficial end to summer for a lot of us. Not until September 4th, which is 60 days away. The official end to summer comes with that fall equinox on September 23rd. We've got 80 days or so to go until then. And Halloween, Brian, you've got 117 days to start planning your perfect costume. That's it till Halloween hits, so get to work now. No, we have lots of time until all of that happens, but we do have plenty of summer to enjoy and plenty of heat coming our way for the next week or so of the summer season. So our high temperatures from the last couple of weeks, you can see our high of 88 degrees yesterday on Independence Day was the coolest, quote unquote, that we had seen in about a week or so, and just a hair shy of average. Today, spot on average so far. Boise typically sees a 90-degree high temperature for July 5th. That's where we are right now. Clear skies out there, so it is hot. A little bit of wildfire smoke still being seen around the area thanks to that northwest flow, kind of bringing that in from the northwest. By tomorrow, the horizon should look a lot clearer. High temperatures recorded elsewhere across the region so far today. 91 in Ontario. We've seen mid to upper 70s in our central mountains and low 80s in the Magic Valley. Not as hot as what is happening along the west coast of Oregon. From Portland all the way down towards Medford, we have a heat advisory in effect again today, combined with an air quality warning in Portland for smog. So kind of a yucky day there. We are, though, under the effect of this dry zonal flow, which is keeping us, again, nice and dry today. Temperatures have climbed just a touch, but nowhere near what is going to be happening tomorrow. Let's look at our 7-day forecast. 95 tomorrow, so we'll tack on 5 degrees. We say hot through Saturday, then scorching Sunday, Monday, looking at our first triple-digit readings of the year.
All right, well, Zoo Boise keeps getting a few more animals. This year, they've added 12 new animals to the family. They also sent 4 other animals to other zoos as part of the species survival plan. So 2 of the new 12, the 12 new animals, that's what I'm trying to say, were the baby twin cotton-top tamarins. They were born on February 28th. The other 10, Zoo Boise got from other zoos, kind of moving in as part of that exchange program, including 2 new endangered Stein's red pandas from the San Diego and Milwaukee County zoos. They're the newest additions to Zoo Boise, although it's not the best time to probably bring in some cold weather animals into the city of trees, triple-digit heat and all. But Boise, or Zoo Boise, said they're going to try their best to make them comfortable. And they're here as part of the red panda species survival plan. It's a conservation program. The main goal is to breed endangered and threatened species, kind of an animal dating service, if you will, for animals like the red panda. And they're going to need a place to hook up. So the zoo plans to hook them up with a new red panda complex, as you saw a picture of just then. And you can meet these new furry friends from 9 to 5 daily in the red panda exhibit. This guy right here, don't worry, 13-year-old Himalayan red panda that's still there. Spud, by the way, is his name. He can still be seen in his original enclosure. All right, let's get to your comments today on this Wednesday as we get through the middle part of the week. Having no Maternal Mortality Review Committee and Blanksman Co. reinventing it to fit their war on women, that should terrify all Idaho women, says Tam in Calder, talking about the fact that we sunsetted the bill that created the Maternal Mortality Review Committee on July 1st, just a few days ago. Idaho is a liberty-minded state for whom? Women, librarians, teachers, doctors, LGBTQ Idahoans. That's from Daisy Ray Martin, who commented that. How much does Idaho make financially off of Idaho spuds yearly as compared to Oregon? Asked Lauren in Sun Valley. I'm not exactly sure the number. I do know we are the potato producing state in the country, ahead of Oregon. Oregon, let them have the potatoes. I don't want to be known for the potato state. Every time I go out of town to get potatoes, jokes thrown at me every time, constantly. True, but you got to be proud of something, right? We'll see you tomorrow.